Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for your education, entertainment purposes only. So, last couple days, we got a little bit of more information to help us kind of figure out where we are in this final push higher. So what happened is we did a risk divergence in the some of the shorter time frames, which extended the wave three. So we have to go into each one and kind of look at it. Now, see if you look at this, like let's start with the Dow Jones on the 45 minute. You can see you have massive divergence between each peak, this peak, and that peak. It's obviously slowing down, right? No erasure or divergence yet. So it's a classic fifth wave of a fifth wave of a fifth wave. Okay. Now the 4 hour shows a little bit different picture where this peak came out and you took out these two highs. Okay. So what that means potentially is that this wave is extending. This fifth wave is extending because you're still below this peak. I think you're still below this peak. So I look at so we have a little bit of a ratio divergence. So you can't you have to respect the extension higher scenario. That's why time and shorts trying to top tick a market is so difficult. But yeah, will this end? It will absolutely end. We just don't know how and when. But they're just getting more buyers trapped in this kind of final crescendo higher. You know, I always like to kind of say, okay, these are the really short cycles, which have a lot of different possibilities on how it can end. And every day, there's so many different permutations on what the market can do. But I always like to go back to the long-term chart and just kind of get getting big picture, right? That's the most important chart. Big picture, okay. This is the indices. And we're actually in a vertical moment, a straight vertical moment right now. So in this picture, as this parabolic blow off move happens, every dip is going to be bought more violently than the previous dip. And that's kind of what we're seeing, right? Because that's by nature the energy that's being pushed through this exponential advance, ever increasing exponential energy. Buyer enthusiasm every day is increasing exponentially. The dips will be more and more violently bought. But typically when this ends, when this big cycle ends, and we've mentioned this before, it just isn't going to do, I mean, I guess it could do something like this. And then, you know, but then it would pretty much just lose this whole candle and then collapse. But it isn't going to do that either. So we're at the very end. Logic has to tell you, I mean, just use your judgment, guys. Use your judgment. Is this the greatest time to buy stocks or sell stocks? If I showed you this chart, if this was any stock, Apple, you know, Uber, any stock, and I showed you a chart like this, would you put your whole stack in right here, right now? No one would. Not even my 8-year-old would, who knows about trading would. No one would. Now, would you short it? Probably not, because you just don't know. Could it get even more crazy, right? A little bigger push. But when this reverses, it's usually when bubbles reverse and pop, it's a big candle that retraces, again, on the bigger picture. You'll just be like right around here in one day. So we're about at 43.4. I would expect in 24 hours of trading, there'll be a cataclysmic like event, and we'll probably close at 34,000, 32,000. When that day happens, and that can happen at any moment, it's over. Then you have your candle, and then yes, it will try to rally back hard. It will fail and then collapse epically. But until you get that big day, this could continue and can continue, but it's getting harder and harder to keep the the enthusiasm and the money coming in to support this move. It's every day it's more and more difficult, but at some point it will end. So this is a big picture. That's the big picture, okay? Big picture. Divergence, divergence, divergence. Again, since we've been trading since 2009, we have not had a monthly cycle reset, right? We've gone all the way overdue. We're way overdue for that. We're way overdue for monthly cycle reset. Let's go back in history and see previous time frames. So this was the bull market. I think the bull market started somewhere around the 1982, so somewhere here. So this one was really bubble popped in 2000, right about here. Okay, right about here. And that's considered one of the greatest, bubble bull market.com busts. So we're getting close to that territory. We're not there yet. Maybe another year of mania. But I don't think the market can make it another year. So that's it. So again, I'm just showing you a big picture, guys. A big picture. You have to be smart. You have to be logical. You have to understand the big picture. But this is the big picture. And anyone that's telling you there's more upside to hold, you'll hold all the way through. A good bubble that I like to look at is the Nikkei back in the 80s. You see similar chart, right? You can't lose. Even more parabolic than what we have. But at the end, the house always wins. And yeah, there were a lot of people, I'm sure, just hold. Just buy the dip, buy the dip. Think about that. So this is the US indices. Now, where are we on the US indices? I don't know where we are on this, but we're somewhere here. We're somewhere in this part of the mania phase. And this was, 87, 80. So we're a couple years away. So I don't think it has a couple years, honestly, but I think it's over very soon looking at these counts. But if divergences keep getting erased, the mania will continue. And we did erase divergence on the shorter time frames. And that means the market will push higher. So I had to give a couple new counts. So the Dow Jones count, I'm looking at this count, but I am seeing that I wouldn't be surprised to see it extend even more. SPY, I'm going with this kind of like an end in diagonal 3-wave pattern that should, the third wave should be coming to an end today or tomorrow for a bigger pullback, only to be bought one more time. It does look like 600 is in play. It looks like mid-November is the time frame, right around election time. Go figure. So this is kind of what I'm thinking is in play for right now. But it's so difficult to get this shorter time frame right now because there's a lot of mixed messages in the market. But something like that. The triple Qs, I'm going to follow suit and change their chart a little bit. So what I'm going to do is looking at it, I'm going to say this fifth wave was an end in diagonal with 3, and then 3, and then you get an end in diagonal here, and you get 3 and 3, and then one more push higher. But then again, you don't need it. So I think the triple Qs is very risky because it doesn't have to end. This could still be the top. I just don't believe that it's gonna surge higher. I believe that looking at this in a bigger, I was looking at this on the RSI time frame. This really is one cycle that hasn't ended. I was calling it like an ABC. I don't think that's the right way to label it. And if you look, you have your peak here at 3 or 4, and you really are missing a fifth wave. If you really look at this, it would be nice to get some really massive divergence and make a new all-time high. So that's why I'm going to go with this kind of label for now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it break and then collapse. And it's a little different. It's a little different than what I had before because, again, I'm just looking at some of these counts, and again, I look here. Typical wave 3, we haven't got. So I don't think, looking at this, we need that drop. I believe that this is the right count. Now, it could still extend in 5 after a 3-wave pullback down to this 406, but I don't think it's the ABC, because if it's the ABC, this has to hold. This peak has to hold, and it looks like we're going to probably break that today. If we break that peak, the ABC is definitely negated in my mind, but then you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swing up, and that just isn't going to work. Now, if for some miracle this holds, then we go back to the ABC. But I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to just keep pushing higher in this 5th wave for now. The IWM looks like it does want to make this last push higher. So the count should go. And again, we've always had this at 244. And it looks like the market does want to blow off top more, which is why I wouldn't recommend buying puts or shorting anything at this point, unless you have really strong hands and good money management, and give yourself enough time. But I think there's probably better opportunity to do that later. I just don't see it at this very instant. And again, the shorter time frames, it's easy to be wrong, and it could collapse on the longer time frame at any moment, right? If you look at the bigger picture, we know it can collapse at any moment. But right now, the shorter time frame does show more upside given the ratio to divergence that happens a few days ago. And this is kind of where we are with it for now. And I wonder if the targets will be reached that I had set on January 1, 2024, 608 and 244. Those were my 2 big targets. And it almost seems like that's where we're heading. We're still heading there. That's where we're still headed. So that's what I'm looking at in the market. Now, there's one indicator that actually says, no, Elliott Wave Sage, you're way too bullish on this ending. And in fact, the market's already peaked and it's going to crash any day. There's one more indicator still alive and well that actually says that this is what I just showed you is completely wrong, that we've already topped. Everything's topped already. Yeah, maybe you could get one more high in the SPY, no big deal. The Nasdaq's topped. The Dow Jones is either top, maybe one more high, and then it's a massive crash. It's the VIX, guys. It's the VIX. The VIX had a nasty reversal here, right where we wanted it, on a beautiful 5-wave move down, and it's kind of not being sold off, right, with this pump rise. So the VIX, and look, if we're going into this wave 3 in the VIX of a C wave, the indices are going to crash, guys. The indices are going massively lower in the next 24 to 48 hours. This chart is saying in the next 24 to 48 hours, the indices are going to have a meltdown if this plays out. Now, the other chart I'm showing you, the more conservative, the more, the more view that's more appealing to everybody, because, everyone's in bull mode, is that the UVIX breaks this low at 483 and creates a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it really collapses hard. And we do know that it could happen because we did make a lower low on the UVIX here to here, so there is a risk for that. but I don't think that risk comes into play until we're here, and then you could get a bigger drop. So that's why the VIX is showing. If I just look at the VIX is showing something very different path here that I will point out. And again, this will be ignoring the RSI system that I use. This is just a different way of labeling it. Is we're still in actually wave 4, and then this is a 3-wave massive flat that's about to destroy the market participants, and nobody sees it coming. The VIX right now is predicting this pattern. I'm not saying this is going to happen. It's very unlikely, but that's what it's predicted. Something like this, and then a massive rally in 5. That's what the VIX is predicting right now. And that would make sense with the erasure of divergence. That's what you see in B waves. And the next thing you check is, well, where's BN? Right where it's in the danger area for a flat. This is the danger area for flats, where they revert, where flats turn, right here. So could it be in the next 24 to 48 hours, the indices collapse violently all the way back down? And then I bet when we're trading down here at below the August low, everyone's going to say it's the end, it's a crash, it's a crash, but then actually be probably an amazing buying opportunity, because the UVIX shows that after this high, it should pull back and make another low and actually make it down to the $3 area. So the VIX is showing this. You'll have to decide what's best for you and how you want to trade it. You have to decide, but that's what the VIX is showing. Until that's negated, the bears still have hope for the ultimate bear, the bull trap, the dreaded expanded flat. And then that would mean the Qs will not break this high, by some miracle, which will be hard to do. But if it doesn't break this high, then we're back in 4. 4's in play. Boom, 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 out in 5. And that's the path, guys. So you have to place your bets and decide what you want to do, but that's the market until the VIX. So the VIX, the last thing the bulls need to destroy is the VIX, and they haven't been able to do that. And because of that, the bears have a chance. The VIX is sending a massive warning sign that that things may not be so rosy, especially the UVIX. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So this VIX is in this X wave, and looks like we are going to break that low. And again, I look more at the UVIX right now than the regular VIX, because that's usually the one that shows the intensity of the decline more than the regular VIX. So this is actually showing more downside here. So this VIX structure here broke down today, but it could do a couple things. It could erase divergence and truncate. Once it takes this peak out and truncate, right? So we have to just keep an eye on it. But I believe if the VIX makes a new low and the UVIX cannot do that, I think that tells you that this will truncate and we'll get this final push higher into this area. And then this is what I'm seeing. And then again, here you have a higher high here, which also shows me that the VIX still needs to go higher. We never made it. We're short. So this pullback is a buy. The VIX is a long opportunity with this double correction that should erase divergence today. So again, I think there's a chance that there's a massive bull trap being set where the bulls get destroyed and then the bears get destroyed before we really peak, and both sides of the market have completely been like had their faces ripped off and they have nothing left. Then the market can crash. It's over. That's what this is kind of saying with the VIX right now. But that's not the classical view, right? That's a very, no one's calling this. There's no one on the internet that's calling that. But I'm just showing you the possibility is there. But I don't like to trade the indices at this point, but today could be a big day in the Nasdaq. If the Nasdaq can take out this peak, big technical win for the Nasdaq, and then of course if it could take out this high, then you're in this fifth wave. And this is the scenario playing out. And I want to go back and look at this a little bit closer. So then if we break this high, the area that it would want to go to is 522, 530. This area is in play. So that's in play. Again, as long as it can maintain divergence, which it's got massive divergence here. It would take a massive pump to erase that divergence. Okay, let's go to your super chats, guys, and go into your questions. All right, 30 over par. Let's take a look. So Robinhood is hanging in there. You know, it's doing its thing. And I was taking a look at Robinhood real quick. So this was what we had on Robinhood is another leg lower, but and I still believe that's the case. So I think Robinhood's in danger of a reversal at any moment. Like most of the market stocks look like this. And it's in the sell area. So if you're brave enough, you could try to short it here. I'm not recommending that, but this would be the area. If this chart plays out, you would short it. It would drop straight down, back down, probably back down to 12 bucks, somewhere around here to finish the C leg. That's the play. That's what's in play right now. That's what's in play, and you'll just have to decide what you want to do with that. But we don't have 5 waves. We have 3 waves up, and it is in the sell area. So it is, I think, an incomplete correction. But you will have to decide on what to do. And again, we pretty much have nailed Robinhood pretty well, except for this big pump. But we did expect this connect. This is a connector wave to end. It's just been a lot of enthusiasm in the connector wave. But despite that enthusiasm, we still haven't been able to take out those peaks. So it's really not a wave 3. It's just kind of, there's like a very, everyone's going all in because they were late and they're all chasing it. And I believe those people will all be blown up before the strong hands come back in the market again. This also could be a warning sign if this plays out that crypto will take that leg lower, which could be the catalyst that Trump loses or loses. And then maybe he comes back later through the court system and wins or whatever. But this is telling me election issues could be at hand where maybe the Trump trade is being priced into this market, guys. It's obvious. Look at DJT. Everyone expects Trump to be winning in a landslide. I think this market is set in a trap for people. I believe there's going to be some shenanigans of some kind, and then Trump will lose, or they won't know the winner, or something will happen where it'll be in question, or someone won't acknowledge his win, or something to that effect. And then that trade will unwind hard, and then in the chaos, the market collapses, and then you get resolution and the market finds support, and then we can look at where when the dust settles. Because I just don't think the market's going to price in a Trump victory like it's doing, and then he wins and it's just going to keep going. It seems like to me it's a trap being set for people. And just remember the news that comes out, the poll, these little, predicted shit and all that can be manipulated, may not even be true. We don't know. Just like the China news, which I warned you guys to be like, just put my whole stack in because they said going to China, but some billionaire goes on TV because he knows somebody in China who knows somebody that speaks Chinese and heard a speech, and that you should just do that. Well, what did that get you? The whole damn thing is almost unwound now. That was a pump and dump, guys. That was a classic. That's why you can't trade on this news. And so everyone buying into the Trump is a slam dunk is trading into news that's likely wrong or fake or being used to manipulate you into the market to set you up in a trap. That's what I see happening, a trap being set. Not saying he could still win, but I believe it won't be either he'll lose or it'll be like like controversy, and then he'll win through the controversy after the controversy's over. I don't think it's just going to be a slam dunk. Ronald Reagan, he gets all the states and it's over and it's party hard and the market goes to the moon and crypto to the moon and we're going to have a national currency and Bitcoin like he's, I don't think it's, guys, it's not, that is delusional if you're thinking that and trading on that belief. Okay, Snap. Snap's social media stock that I think we got that one right before that massive trap came and crashed down on people. Snapchat, let me find it here. There it is. All right, so we've done really well in Snapchat. We called this W. We had the 3 waves, and now we're calling the 5-wave push higher in the Y wave. Again, everyone's too bearish. They're trying to short it in the hole, and they're going to get blown up. But this looks like 5 is up here, right? This doesn't look like 5's over. Yeah, it's over. So this cycle's over. It's about to reverse. My guess is it will find support and then come out of this. It's pretty simple. It could come back to 982, but this looks like it's going to push out. I want to see it take out 18, and when it does, then who knows with Snapchat. It could either be a go to 0, or it could actually make a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is a major low, and then work its way out into a new bull market. BlackBerry. There was something in the news about BlackBerry. My chart, I have to go back and look at this chart to see where we are. I haven't looked at BlackBerry in a long time. This chart is kind of old. Yeah, so we're looking at this B wave. We broke the all-time low, I think, or did we come close? Not yet. Let's see what we've got here. So we have an ABC. So this ABC has to play out. And I don't think there's a reason to buy it. I would be just looking to short it on 3-wave bursts higher that it may experience. I don't see any good long opportunity, right? Like that's obvious to me. But it does look like one of these cycles is about to end here. It looks like this full cycle here. This cycle is finished, but it will fail when it. So this does look like it's do some kind of pump. It looks like us do a pump. Maybe it could get back to $6.80, $7, but then that cycle's due to fail, and then go much lower. Right. So it does look like this cycle is about to end or has ended at any moment. Something like that is what I'm looking at. Good luck. Intel. I haven't looked at that in a while. Let's see. So it's trying to build off this low, but it so a couple things here. So I have it in this 2-wave, but then it's going much lower when this is over. The question is it over? It looks like it is not over yet. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, higher. It's going to go higher. So this is looking like it could be a 1, 2, 1, 2 like this. Could be that. It's probably a little too bullish. It could be something like that. I'll label it this way for now. But I believe it's got more upside to finish this impulse. Probably fill this gap, right? And then a massive rejection. Probably on this downtrend line. I'll draw it. There. Right? 29, 30. Let's say 30 is a nice target for Intel. seems like it's got a a trade here, some kind of trade where you got earnings coming up on the 31st. So I don't know, something like that. But understand, you're trading this wave too, and guess what's coming? Something even worse that had happened than happened here. So you guys got to understand, you're picking up pennies in front of a steamroller. If you're trying to buy this long, I could be wrong, and then the right news drops and this thing's going to be annihilated. So I just don't know how it's going to go down. I don't know how it's going to go down. But this to me, it just doesn't look like it's a complete corrective move on this too. All right, Anonymous. Okay, so I was looking at crypto. A lot of the crypto did pretty well. I think a lot of our calls on crypto have worked out. So Bitcoin, I don't correlate Bitcoin to the SPY or anything. It just trades on its own, right? I just trade Bitcoin the way it deserves to be traded, right? Its own chart. I don't care, because we don't have enough history to know how Bitcoin will correlate in different situations, right? It wasn't around in the 1970s. If we're going to be into an inflationary bear market, we don't know how Bitcoin will behave. Will it crash? Will it go up? Will it go parabolic? No one knows. So you can't worry about that. You just got to worry about the chart in the count that you have. And right now we have a 1-2, 1-2, and it looks like we're about to finish this impulse here. I mean, technically, I could probably force it even finished here, but for now we'll just say somewhere around here. It's finishing up, maybe at 69. But here's a problem. This will be the moment of truth for Bitcoin, right? Because we talked about this. Right now we have 5 up off the low. Now that's a good sign typically, because it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we pull back to 57 and it's vertical. It could be this 1, 2, 1, 2, come up, consolidate, and then launch. The other option that I see likely is the more bearish case, where you're in this too still, where you have a connector wave that actually ended here. This was an A, B, C, right? It's a C. It's a flat connector. The connector ends and it drops in a 5-wave move down to 44, 42, and then comes out. Those are the 3 scenarios, and you'll have to decide which one you want to do. I think it's the more bullish scenario that I'm showing. That's personally my belief. Right now, this more bullish path is what I'm seeing develop, and I think there's no reason to go against that. But I do think there is caution needed, because stocks like MicroStrategy show an incomplete correction. So there's clues in the market that we should actually get this, right? Just like the VIX. The VIX is telling you there's something wrong with the indices, and MicroStrategy is also telling me there's something wrong with Bitcoin. If MicroStrategy didn't have the chart it had, I would be a lot more confident, but it doesn't. So you're going to have to do what's best for you, but you got to understand that MicroStrategy, for some reason, is a ticking time bomb in the crypto market that something's going to happen. I don't know if it's company specific or what or something. I don't know, but maybe someone's going to try to, raid them and try to when I say raid, figuratively, try to shake them out of some of their coins, because they know they're just so leveraged and loaded up. So they're a ripe target for big whales to get together. Imagine if you're Bitcoin whales, original owners, and you want to really, F with them, right? And you got them set up in a massive trap, over levered. Why don't you flash crash Bitcoin, where those dudes got a dump, they have no choice, and then you could pick up their Bitcoins on the cheap. That's what I would do if I was a big whale, right? That's what these guys, so I think that could be the game being played right now. So just be careful with crypto, the whale. It could be battles of whales battling it out in this area here to get their final positions before this big move higher. Just know that. So I think for Bitcoin, outside of that issue I have with the market, then I would go with this more bullish count. Okay, but good luck. Good luck on that. And that's that. The current push, I see it as 69,000 is really, it's going to come into some kind of resistance because you have trendline resistance. You also have resistance here. You have massive resistance. See all this, the cluster of peaks? You know, it's got to have resistance, and you have 5 swings up. It's got to come back and kind of reload, you would think, to get through that. Just something I'm thinking. Okay, Indo made that double correction, right? We talked about that if it broke that one pivot, it would make another swing lower in 2, and that's where it's going. So I'm looking at 368, 332, somewhere in here, right? And then there's your trend line. When that breaks, it also will end the correction, and it's so you're just gonna have to be patient. This is one of those ones you just got to be patient, right? And then remember, one day we just woke up and it was up 48% and no one knew why, right? That's how this thing's gonna end. We don't know. So I think it's just got to unwind more, and obviously it can go like pretty low, but the ultimate stop out area is 234. So there's a lot of risk in this trade up here, right? The trade was down here, maybe even here, but this was just people chasing it, right? Chasing it. But then there was a good setup here, a lot of 1-2-1-2 setup, but then once you lost that pivot right there, you should have just stopped out at 445 for a minimal loss. But if you held through this, well, now you got to just either take your loss or hold it and accept your fate. But the 45-minute cycle should reverse higher and give people an opportunity to get out of this trade if you're trapped in it or don't want to dump it. So, but hopefully the 45-minute cycle will erase divergence. This will drop down, and then when it comes out, it will come out to new highs. That's the idea. Okay. BCHG. So BCHG has a tradable pivot now that has to hold, or it becomes like essentially it will collapse. So it's really how high it can go is, again, use your imagination. It could be a massive low, massive opportunity here. I mean, if you guys followed me, we called this right. I mean, we traded this. I warned about the B. I said buy it here, pump, buy it here. And now, what am I saying? The chart, if I just look at the chart, says we should hit $32. So there you go. $32, but I always tell people, don't think about how high it can go. Think about how much you can lose. I don't care how high it can go. Who cares? I don't give a shit. My entry's at 524. So if it's above 524, I don't care how I would go 10, 12, 30, essentially it's house's money, right? There's no reason to worry about how high it can go. Like, I just care about how much I'm going to lose. Now, if you're going to buy it right here today, well, yeah, you could lose a lot of money, right? And that's what you should be worried about. Like, you don't buy it at 782 thinking I'm going to make it to 30, because if you do it at 782 and this comes all the way back down to 550, you're going to lose 30% and you're going to probably capitulate and sell. But there's no guarantee, because if you break this low at 444, then this thing is going all the way back down to these areas down here. And we even called the buy down here, guys. So we've really traded these well on my channel. And here it is, vertical. Now you're in some kind of four wave. You're in a four wave. Looks like setting up a day trade opportunity. Day trade opportunity. It's gonna be hard to see this candle. Let's try to check it out here. Potential opportunity for long at like 728, $7. I'll give another area. If it's a four wave, now this one's got more risk, because if it's corrective, you won't get a fifth wave, and then it will. So you gotta know when to fold them. But there's could be a second chance entry here on a four wave. Like that, as it builds. So that's possible. That's possible. You know, so you're just gonna have to decide what you want to do. So I think you know, that's BCHG. LTCN is kind of the same situation. It's not reacting as strong. Whoops, as strong as the others. Again, we have this 1-2-1-2 setup. We're coming out of it, and this is this could be a lot of things, but as long as we're above 1173, we should be breaking out in a wave 3, right? We should be breaking out in a wave 3. Now this looks like 5 up too, right? So it almost looks like it needs another pullback and out. That's what you're hoping for. Now, how high can this go? I believe the target in Y, I don't have it here, but we'll do it real quick. Like $60, $68, maybe as high as 70. That's the target. I'll just draw the box somewhere here. I'm not sure what happened to my chart. Get rid of that. So anyway, but what we do know is these lows have to hold. If not, it's a bear flag, right? I mean, chart pattern traders, you see a bear flag, right? Bear flag, and we'll break down, and this will go, boom, back down to this area. So this one looks weak. I'm not going to lie. This one looks weak. BCHG, not so weak. BCHG is strong. Looks strong. Litecoin, weak. It looks weak, but you do what's best for you. MIGI, I think we've got that reversal. So there we go. So it looks like a 1-2-1-2 setup here. I mean, I guess you could be conservative and say that's another 4, but it could be a 1-2-1-2. Now, there's also another possibility it's corrective. Again, and if you break this $1 low, then this would go into the abyss. It would be a technical failed chart. So you got this low has to hold at $1.03. Looks like a 1-2-1-2 setup emerging on MIGI. That's what it looks like to me. But you can't get too excited, euphoric. Let's see here. Well, that's good. You see that divergence? Yeah, so it is a 1-2-1-2 setup on the shorter cycle. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this has a potential for some wave 3 action coming at any moment if this is right. Again, I can be wrong. So there you go. There you go. Right there. If I'm right, you'd want to buy this like right now. You guys watching me, you want to buy this as a day trader if this is the right setup. But nobody's paying attention to it. I don't even think anyone knows what the hell this company does. I've never heard of it. Only you're the only one to ask me about it. So I think a lot of people aren't in this. So that's always good for pumps, right? No one's in it. Everyone's in some of these other ones that just got to get weekends blown up. So next question, Indo. Yeah, so I covered Indo already. I think it's got to finish its correction, and I'll just kind of talk about it a little bit more here, for you guys. So we need to come down to this 368 would be ideal. We want to erase divergence. So it's like a 4 wave, like we're in a 5th wave here. Want to erase that divergence is ideal. The 4 hour, so it's again just looking at the stochastics. The 4 hour is a nice bleed down, right? It's a nice bleed down, but the 45-minute, we know we're going to reset this 45-minute, and it usually, like here, see how it reset, but the price barely went higher. So if we get something like that with the 45-minute resets, but the price really can't recover, then we're going to expect more downside, potentially lower. But then here's an example where it reset and essentially went to the moon, right? So we don't know how this will reset, but the 45-minute cycle isn't just going to go to zero. Like it's got, look, 1, 2. So like we could try to, and again, I don't do time in cycles very well, but I'll try to do it here if I can. So that puts us at the next peak on Wednesday, midweek next week. So hopefully by midweek next week, we'll have resolution on what this is doing, and then we'll go from there. And then people can decide what you want to do with it. But this to me is telling me, looking at these 45-minute cycles, they're pretty distinct. Like, look, it's very Beautifully spaced. Look at that. Like perfect cycles. Boom, boom, boom. That one's a little different, but pretty. So this cycle should be coming to an end very soon. Sometime today or tomorrow should end, and we should start seeing it build higher. And then we'll know. We'll know the nature of the correction. Maybe Israel's going to bomb the shit out of Iran, and this thing will go back to the moon as oil spikes. I don't know. I wouldn't be too bearish given the stochastics at the moment, but I believe that it's technically, I wouldn't be surprised to see more downside. Okay. All right, Les L. Walmart. Let's go to Walmart here. So Walmart is another one. We had this one. So let's take another look at this. This probably was a little too bullish here. But needless to say, we had it in the uptrend. So this is probably a 3 here. Like a 1, 2, 3 of 3. Well, actually, let's just see how to see the divergence got erased. So it's really the 3s here. The 4s here. And then we're in some kind of 5th wave. Bled down. So some kind of sideways correction in this 4 wave. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think you put that 4 there. Let's go back and kind of relabel this. And yeah, again, which one's the shortest? So there's a couple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so something like this. I'm going back. Just want to kind of see how this should end. Looking at the chart a little bit. Yeah, I think the best way to label it is this way. One, two, three. That I don't like how that looks unless yeah, then I gotta still call it in 5, in some kind of 5th wave. Something like that. It's got to be something like this. So kind of like red alert any moment. You should see this breakdown here. But then I believe it will be supported for another upside move high. Again, is the indices about to do the same thing, right? I wonder. But Walmart looks like it's got something like that coming. All right. BBAI. Yeah, well, that's one I used to get asked a lot, but not recently. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I put it in the AI basket here. This chart may not be updated. It's been a while since I've looked at it. Yeah, I mean, it still held the structure, but let's look at the RSI real quick on the higher time frames. Yeah, I would still call it a 1-2-1-2 setup. 1-2-1-2 setup. So again, this could be predicting a massive pump is about to happen. I'm not, you'll have to decide, but we are starting to see some of these small caps really start to pump. So I don't know. It could still be in 2, but as long as it's above this like $1.16 level, it should resolve higher. Okay. All right, I'll win. Home Depot. Let's see here. All right, so see, Home Depot took this high out, so it negated the bearish chart, unless it erased divergence. We'll have to see, is it fifth wave or is it, so right now it's showing 5 up off the low. So so it changes things, but not too much. It does mean a big pullback is about to happen, but it should be supported. Should be supported. But we're going to take another look. So as you can see, we're in this fifth wave. Once it ends, we should get a pullback back down to 300 and then out. So, but I want to just make sure this isn't a fifth wave and this isn't a 4 wave. So let's just kind of, so we see how we have this 1 2 1 2 setup. I could easily get rid of that and put the 3 here, put the 4 here, and make that 5. And then it goes all the way back down to 160. So let's see why I didn't do that. I need to just take another look. So the reason is the RSIs have like slowly bled lower. Like it's not typical of a wave 3 to have the RSIs that low. So that's why I did not have that set up. But if you're an Elliott wave purist, this is how you would label the chart, and you would predict a much bigger collapse on the verge of happening at any moment in Home Depot. But the problem is the RSI is telling me not to get too bearish on it as it pulls back, that it could be supported, even if the pullback is going to be deep, right? Deep from 400 down to 300. So it's interesting. It's the chart that I have. So I'll go with this chart, and then you can decide what you want to do with it. I would say that as long as there's divergence, this fifth wave can end at any moment, and we'll get this pullback, and then it should come out of it. Okay. And then AMAT, I believe, was that the one that collapsed on earnings or some other one? I think. Let's see. I don't have it on here. All right, so AMAT, I think we called the peak on AMAT, and now we called that reversal. So one more swing lower. We're looking for one more swing lower in AMAT before support. Looking for $130. This area here. I believe we've already started that. Now, as long as it's below 214, this chart is in play. If it can take out 214, the bearish case is negated. But I believe that's what's in play. And it just started its journey lower. It won't be a straight line. There's going to be choppy. It always is. But once it takes out 173, 170, then you know the bear case is validated. Jumia, yeah. That's another popular pump stock that comes up once in a while. E-commerce, I think, stock. So Jumia made 5 swings off the low. Looks like it pulled back in 5. And now it's in a connector wave that looks like it should continue higher in the connector wave. That's a pretty shallow connector wave, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see it take another swing higher. I mean, it doesn't have to. It could still be finished here. As long as it stays above 225, it's still a solid chart. So there's no way to know if it's going to come back for another swing. I just think it's likely, but I can't guarantee it. But if it does break down, we're looking for one more leg lower. Essentially looking to retest this low area. But if it can hold this low, it will be supported, and it will have a mega pump, because then this will be a wave 3 out, right? But then you'll have a 1 2, and then you'll have a mega pump if that can hold. I don't like buying it because it looks like it's 5 down, and I just think it's something like this. And again, this was an extended fifth. You lost the whole fifth. The right area usually is between the 2 and the 4, so somewhere around 352 wouldn't be expected. I'll just kind of draw a little box here. Somewhere I bet it ends somewhere there is what I'm thinking. Okay. BitX is telling us Bitcoin is going much higher, right? As long as it's not a connector. So BitX was a clue the market gave us to get more confidence to go long early, right? And my videos showed that setup. The market tipped its hand by mistake. Sometimes it does that. It tends to hide its intentions very well, but BitX gave it away with this buy area and a 5-wave up. And now we had this 1-2-1-2 setup, and now we broke the downtrend, right? The downtrend line since it existed. So this really should open up the door technically for BitX to hit $80. Now, if that happens, Bitcoin's going way past, 70, 80. It's going, 6 figures. So that's what BitX is predicting. And we made, higher high, and a higher high. Now, don't want to get too euphoric here, but what we do want to show is we did end with no divergence essentially on the higher time frame. So that is the only thing I bring that out is it could be a corrective move still. It's still not really 5 swings, and so it's either a corrective move or it's this 1-2-1-2 setup, 1-2-1-2-1-2 setup. So it's one or the other. So it's either this ultra bullish setup for an explosion higher, which tells us Bitcoin's about to explode out of this consolidation range it's been in an uber bullish way, or see, it could even be this. It could be even this bullish, right? Look at that. Imagine if on our channel this could be the last opportunity. See, we don't. Again, this is really a euphoric type of forecast. So that's a valid forecast. The other forecast is, since it erased divergences, this is a connector wave. It's corrective. It corrected the whole cycle. It's over, and it will take a whole new leg lower, and that would lead to the Bitcoin collapse. So we don't know. So but I think what this is telling me is to not be too bearish, and Bitcoin could go much higher. That's what this is telling me. But I don't think it is all clear yet, given the ratio to divergence. It would have been better to have some bearish divergence here to show like 5 swings, and then it would have been better. But by erasing divergence, now we have a potentially could be a corrective count. We need to wait and see what happens. But the break of the downtrend line, the higher high sequence, does give some people encouragement that this could continue higher. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, though. I don't really see a trade here to go into anymore at this point. If you missed a move, you're just going to have to be on the sidelines and wait for a setup that comes. Okay, Anonymous, let's go back to some of your questions. HUT is one we've called before. I think we called that low, and now we're building a Y wave off the low. Looking at this W, I believe we're probably still in the A wave of Y, so I'm thinking you're in something like this, and then of course it pulls back, right? It always does, and then finishes like that. So something like that is what I'm thinking. Something like that, right? Okay, and then CLSK, again, called that, and we'll keep building higher out of that. Something like that. This could also be a bigger 3, potentially. So this could be a possibilities. It also, since it erased divergence, could be a correct connector wave for this whole thing. And if that's the case, then it's lights out. So it's this one's a little different. It's not as clear because it could still be you know, something like, you know, it could be a corrective wave still. It's only 3 waves, so we just don't know. It's not clear yet. Long-term and short-term view on the targets. Okay, I'll try to do my best. Here, let's see. Let's see here. On MCI World. I assume this is it, MCI World. Long-term and short-term view. Again, anytime I go to the long-term chart, I just like to go to like a weekly or monthly time frame. And just look at this, okay? Again, looks like it's in this parabolic phase, but you have a lot of massive bearish divergence. So either you have an extended fifth for the record books here, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where that's your 3, and there'll be a massive collapse, a calamity, right? This count is valid, right? Right, there's no reason to think that's not valid. Now, I don't think that's likely. I think the way to count that would be because this, see how that peak cleared these out. So my way I would count this is something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I would count that as 1, 2. And then as long as you have bearish divergence here, and see how you didn't take this peak out and that peak isn't taken out, I would be a little more bullish on labeling. So I'm thinking like a 1, 2. And then this cycle should be almost over. Yeah. So this is the major cycle at risk for a massive drop. So see, this whole thing is going to correct. But so longer term forecast, the future is going to be really bright, but short term could be a lot of pain as long as this bearish divergence maintains. It's on its last fumes. And then you should see a massive drop back down to $76 or even lower. So you're looking at a 30% correction at least, right? And then a massive move higher. So short term, this move is in danger of ending at any moment, but let's look at this 5th wave. But not for the time being, because you need a 4 and a 5. So the good thing is you're in wave 3 of 5, so you need this 4 and 5. Once you see that bearish divergence play out on the daily, then you know this move is about your time's up. You know, time's up. I think it's extended too high. Well, it's still in the expanded flight area, so there's still a danger that it could be in this wave 4, like a sudden drop. So you still. So it could, and again, we showed this with the indices, it could still do this kind of tricky structure, right? That's still but I just can't predict the future. I don't know which one you're going to get. I don't know if you're going to get that or you're going to get the other one that I showed earlier. VGWD. Let's see here. Vanguard. Looks like kind of the same chart a little bit. So this one took divergence out. You see how you erased that divergence on the monthly time frame, so that's pretty significant. Now there's one thing is there's not a lot of chart data, so it's not as accurate to label it, but this is the count. You know, I'm just giving you the count that I see in front of me. This one looks really bullish based on this chart. Longer time frame, very bullish. Shorter time frame, again, looks like we'll be reversing at any moment, more than likely. Yeah, it's almost over. Same thing. This impulse will correct, drop to 55, and then off to the races. So this is another really good chart. So these are a couple good like longer term investment opportunities, but right now there'll be a lot of pain, I think, coming soon in these, and really across all the markets. Now, again, this is missing a lot of data, so I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm just showing you the chart. Then MC, I'll go to the next one, MC. LV. Looks like we've done that one before. That one's in a buy area right now, looks like. So that one looks like it needs its fifth wave. It's in a buy area. One of the first stocks that is kind of lagging, but I'm looking for a fifth wave. It should be bottom out here. This looks like a good setup. You see how this one came in and dropped, and then went same thing, almost the same setup, boom, and then comes. So it's. So I think that's the setup. So that one's good. So the short term, that one looks pretty good. Long term, yeah, I would, unless it can, rocket ship out. Once you make this fifth wave up to probably 1,000, that it's game over, right? And then this thing is toast, right? It's gonna collapse. This is the whole cycle. So long term, not a great long term investment, but short term trade, probably good. Palantir, I believe it's still wave 5, that it's below off top wave 5 that it's in, especially when I tie it to all the enthusiasm, news media attention. And in fact, it may have already peaked here, and people just don't realize it yet. So short term and long term, I'm bearish on it. Looks like it's 5 down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a counter trend move. So to me, it looks like a 1, some kind of wave 2 in the making. Good luck on that. That would be short-term bearish and long-term bearish as this wave 2 plays out. Ultimately, you have to lose this whole fifth wave. Ultimately, probably going back to fill this gap all the way back to $18. That's probably where it's going. So short-term, long-term bearish view on Palantir. All right, Bama silver. Our ultimate target for silver has always been $35, and then a massive collapse, a lot of pain, and then everyone gets, I think, the triple-digit silver price and everything else that we're hoping for. And let's take a look here. What we got? Interesting. UVIX is green. Interesting. I'm telling you, man, the VIX is sending something about the VIX. Everything is looking good for the bulls with this everything, but that VIX is like, it's just telling you. We may look back and be so obvious, but the VIX did the same thing going into the COVID crash. It was rising like this all in February, pre-COVID crash, late January, but people weren't paying attention to it. But I remember I traded TVIX. Back then it was TVIX, and then I think they got rid of it. I don't know if TVIX even trades anymore. Okay, so silver. I find it here. There it is. So got it in this fifth wave. I did show a buy area here that played out for people, right? And then it's continuing higher. If I try to label this, since it's a fifth of a fifth, it could be ending diagonal. I may not, it could be moving in 3 swings. And I think that's how I'll label it. So I'll put that as a 3, a 4, and like one more push higher. But this is, nah, I don't think that's right. I'm not going to do that. Let's just kind of take a step back, try to look at this a little closer. Yeah, no, I was right. I was right originally. So again, we may not have all the data. I'll just put the 2 there. It looks like it's in a 1-2-1-2 setup for it's probably a blow off top moment. That's what it looks like. But I believe once it hits $34, $35, it's in danger of a massive reversal as long as the bearish divergence remains. There's that peak on the 4-hour, on the daily. As long as those divergences maintain, that'll be it. Now that's what I see here. Could it be corrective? It's not likely to be. Again, it could still be corrective. So there is another option that's already peaked. It peaked right here. You see that? It's already peaked early. This is a 1, 2. But if you look, this doesn't really look like 5 waves down. But it could be a 3 swing move down. So it's really 50-50. I'm inclined to label it this way, but you'll have to decide. Again, this is the very end of a big move that really has been going on for quite a while. If you really look at this impulse, it's really gone on all the way since August 2022, and that is coming to an end. And we should see prices come back down to $24, and then you come out of that. That's what we should see. Unless, again, the divergence is erased. But I don't ever assume that's the case. I just kind of label this chart and see what happens. All right, GameStop, GME. So it's 5 a symbol, so I'll just do GameStop, and then you can, and then I will mention something here about Micron real quick. But $5 a symbol. So GameStop. Let me go to it. GameStop. GameStop to me, I told you, is at the moment of truth. It's kind of like do or die. Like technically, it's coming to an apex. The end of the road is near. And it really butted up against this trend line the other day and just couldn't cut through it. So, I mean, it's days away from resolving. I mean, really resolving at any moment. And actually, this looks like a small 5-wave move up here, like that. I mean, this is what it looks like to me. And then you pull back to 20. But this is it. I mean, you're almost out of room here. So something like that. And again, if we start breaking this pivot, it will start to collapse rapidly, I think, because you'll break this pivot, that pivot, the whole trade will unravel, and the bulls will trap. As you can see, this consolidation is coming to an end Monday. So at some point we're going to know. GameStop chart is coming to an end. But really interesting. But the way things are breaking bullish, guys, I mean, what has anything collapsed in this market recently? Nothing, right? Everything seems to want to go higher. So my bet is up, right? My bet is it will go higher, not collapse. But again, it's real risky binary move. It's a lottery ticket play. You're either going to be a hero or you're going to lose a lot of money. But this is it. This is the doer. This is it right here for GameStop. I'll just say Micron, like all semiconductors, need another leg lower. I think we saw that with that news leak on I don't know what company it was. Was it ASML or something? I don't remember. But that there's the semiconductor trade has got another leg lower. So you can just do with that information what you want. Joe, AAOI, let's go to that. Applied Electronics. And We had it, but we don't have any chart on it. So usually on a chart like this, I like to label it from the low and just see how it's trading from that peak. So here you clearly have 5 up with actually another break higher here. So that's bullish. So it's going to resolve higher. You're already seeing that move higher. So this is this got another leg higher more than likely. You have this 5-wave move, and then you made that higher high, which is your signal to buy this pullback and just kind of hold through it. That's usually what that means, no matter how severe the correction was. That looks like it's over, and now we're in the next leg higher. So this looks like a stock that should make another push higher, and it's, I think, in the process of doing that, right? Looks like looks like it's about to go into a 3 of 3, some kind of 3 of 3. I do expect it to take this out, and then you know, where can it go from here? You know, $30, around $30 is what I'm thinking. But it could even extend further than that. Just depends on the nature of the pump. Okay. Good luck on that. Novax. Yeah, Novax has been playing out. Again, we don't know the narrative. We just trade the chart. The narrative always emerges. And the narrative was the FDA put some their flu and COVID vaccine combo on hold due to an adverse event. Were we smart enough to know that? No, we just knew the chart showed not to chase that and wait. And that's what's playing out. But it does show that the chart does show it should be able to recover, and maybe they'll resolve that issue or find out it was really a non-issue. So there's our chart. Warned about this second push lower. I want to see this gap fill. I do, and I believe we're going to get that gap fill. So when do you stop out? I think if you're in this trade, you're in this massive consolidation phase here. There's your downtrend line that has to be broken. But I believe that this gap is going to fill, and then retest this lower area. And if it can retest and hold these lows, then it's good to go for a massive move higher. And I'll even be interested in getting a piece of the action on this, given the chart setup, because it could receive $300 in the future if this chart is right. So it's a good risk reward setup if we can push down. But I don't like buying it here. I believe it's got more downside, and I'm looking for a push lower, as this needs more time to play out. Okay, so I got through everyone's comments. Appreciate the super chat. I'll just read through the chat and just see if anything's interesting I want to talk about. So I think the Russell seems more likely to move higher, right? So how you trade that is up to you. But I personally, again, you don't have to copy what I do. I personally don't want to put any money at risk overnight in this market. I think day trading is fine, you know, where you can manage your position and get in and out, but I don't want to hold overnight given the long-term setup of the market, right? I showed you the parabolic move on the long-term historical chart. I showed you how that typically resolves itself. I don't think the market will just give you an easy out. I believe the market will open up the following morning way below people's stop losses and have a lot of people trapped. Calls will pretty much be worth zero. And that's how we'll be introduced to the end of the grand super cycle with a massive, some massive news event in the after hours. People can't leave their positions. And then we open, and then it's just a bloodbath that whole day, and like yelling and screaming on TV and you name it, it will happen. That's how it's going to go down. The first day of the crash, right? That's how it'll probably go down. Then to be, some follow through, and then a relief rally, probably really big rally, and then that will fail, and that will where most of the smart money will lose most of their money on that relief rally that fails. And that's where you'll have to avoid buying the dip on, despite buying the dip working for the last really 14 or 15 years. And in fact, buying the dip did not work in, I think, the 2018 correction for a little bit, and I think that's where I saw Tommy Lee get on TV almost crying when that leg failed. Like, if you guys were trading back in 2018, and I remember this really well. because I was short in the market here, but I effed up my put, and that's why I don't use puts anymore. I effed up my put, but this is my story back here. Elliott Wave Sage could have been a multimillionaire had I held a little bit longer. But this chop, so this was a buy the dip, guys. See how we crash, and everyone's like, buy the dip. Okay, yeah, buy the dip. You know, and all the Elliott Wave guys was like, oh, it's a 1-2, you know, it's a 1-2, 1-2, buy. I was loading up on puts here and here, and then this little pump shook me out. I was just like, damn. And then look, when this happened, when this buy the dip failed, I remember they paraded him on TV. That dude was, I think he actually was crying. I mean, his eyes were watery. I mean, he couldn't explain what happened. Like, to him, he was dumbfounded. Like, this was unexpected. This type of thing is going to happen constantly in this correction or crash that's coming. This type of move where you'll get these violent reactions and then it will fail. And then the same thing will happen again, more violent, and fail. So that's what's going to happen. So you're just, and then again, if you're going to buy puts, can you, again, will you time it? Will you be able to hold your puts through that, time it right, not get shaken out? So that's why it's so hard buying puts and stuff. But that example of what happened here, that is going to be like that on steroids, what's coming. And I'll tell you, the sentiment on TV here was like despair. It was hopelessness. People were so mad at the Federal Reserve, like anger. It was crazy. And then they capitulated. Federal Reserve gave in to, I would say, political pressure, market pressure, and they allowed the market to pump to get us ready for COVID crash, which they didn't know about. And then, as you see, the rest was history. Look at that crash. Now that, and if in that COVID crash, that's what could be coming for us too. Something just straight down vertical. Although I don't know if it's going to go like that, but I think there'll be a really big down day to usher in the start of everything. Okay, enough of that. So just gonna scan through it. I don't use log scale. My charts don't work on log scale. Follow someone else if you want log scale. I don't fuck with log scale, man. You know what? Yeah, the Q dive saved their puts. Yeah, the triple Q dive was interesting. Someone leaked that news. And again, whether they leaked the news, I don't care about the news, but it is funny. Sometimes, you know, I guarantee you, the people that have the invisible hand underneath the market did not expect that to happen, and they weren't positioned for that. And that's what's going to happen with the real black swan. Aladdin won't be able to save the market because they'll be blown up. Aladdin will be overwhelmed with the panic and sell, and not even they will be able to stop it, and they'll be blown up. They'll lose. And then you'll hear on TV, so and so bank and institution needs a bailout. They can't open their doors anymore, and we'll be in shock. Like, oh my God, that institution was playing the market derivative. Holy shit, we didn't know. What is it? I mean, hypothetically, I think it's going to be big, 3 or 4 big firms, maybe a big bank, and they're all going to be like begging for a bailout that the government just can't afford the bailout anymore. And then I think they'll be allowed to collapse. And that will be the real panic when they're just like Lehman collapsed. Because Aladdin's just going to, that's the nature of the grand super cycle. Aladdin will be blown up. The person that relentlessly pushes this market higher to generate momentum, to generate people to buy, to keep the markets functioning, to give the governments the illusion that everything's working, the policies are perfect, a society as happy can be, which is all far from the truth. I missed the super chat. Let me go back and look here. Yeah, sometimes that happens. There's a lot of super chats. Okay, Avalanche. Yeah, I see that. Okay, yeah. Avalanche. AVAX. Okay, so AVAX was bullish because I think it had some news with Amazon, right? 4 or 5 months ago about it. So we had this unorthodox chart. Let's see if the divergence held. So see how it erased divergence there. So it turned into a more bullish count. I'm looking for 3-way moves up. So we're looking for a lead-in diagonal coming out of this low. So I want to see another push higher in 5. If we don't get that, then it goes back to what we had before. So I think let's go to the smaller time frame and see if there is bearish divergence between these peaks. Yeah, see how there is at the shorter time frame. So I would put more volatility in this shorter time frame. So I will go with this count, go back to what I had before. So if that's the case, it needs another leg lower. But you see here, that looks like 5 down. So yeah, I think this is very risky, but it's hard to say. But I believe you're going to get something like this, and then it's going to drop back down, and then it's going to come out. But either way, it's bullish. So I would just, whatever happens here, I think you're just going to have to hold through it, because there's a lot of possibilities. It can play out in a lot of different ways. You're just going to have to hold through this. Okay, and then your other one was EUNL. All right, EUNL. So we had this wave 4, and now we're in this 5th wave. It is in a danger area. Now there's a couple possibilities where it could drop here. It could drop here, you know, in the 3-wave move, right? Or it could do a 4 and a 5. I think we just don't know yet. But again, in the short term, the move is about to end. Long term, a lot of upside, right? It's a lot of upside. So long-term view is good. Short term, could see some pain coming. Some pain. Okay? Magnite is kind of stuck in the mud. I think they lost the Disney account or something, or something like that, the Hulu account. So fundamentally, that's not good, right? They shouldn't be losing any customers. But could Netflix make up for it? Perhaps they're pissed off. They're in business with Netflix. I don't really know. But this is a buy area. This is a buy area right here. So you have 3-wave pullback. You have 5 up. And now it's in some kind of messy, could be a 1-2, 1-2, could be a big setup. As long as you're above 1131, again, I'm still looking for this 5th wave to 17 before it peaks and 1, or it erases divergence. So I think it's just kind of consolidating here. And it looks like to me, I mean, if I'm just gonna play this out, it looks like something like this, like that, right? You know, yeah, let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, it's gonna be, I don't want to label it quite yet, but I think it, I want to see it bounce. Now, if it does fail this area, then it's in trouble, right? Because you only have 3 up here. You have a 1 here. So this could be a big flat, an A, B, C, and it comes all the way back down to $6. So this is a very important area. So I would be very careful. And there is some really bad news out there that may be enough to scare investors away from it. But I believe it, whatever happens, it'll recover from it. I'm just going to go with this chart for now. And then, but you can't eliminate the flat correction. You can't. So good luck trading it. All right, Daniel. Okay, BKW. BKWN. There it is. I guess this is it. It looks like we've done this before. Let's see here. So we're trying to push higher to this 198 area. The question is how are we going to do that? So it looks like obviously that 2's in. But let's take another look at everything here. So you did see how this peak took it all out, and then you came down and reset everything. We have to go to a higher time frame. So looking at it, yeah, I actually have to label it this way. It's a kind of an ugly looking chart because it's not very symmetrical. Remember, wave three doesn't have to be the longest. It can't be the shortest. So it may not make it up there, but I think this is the count for right now, based on what I'm seeing, where it should make another high here, and then we'll see what happens. Now, if this is the shortest, if this wave five can extend, then this becomes a 1-2-1-2, and it will really launch. So it's definitely not something I would want to sell, but I would be looking for this push higher in five. Either you're going to have this bearish divergence maintain, but if you can either race it or extend past where the wave three past 190, if you could make it past 194, then it's a 1-2-1-2. So I think that's how I'd look at BKWN. NESN is another one we've done before. That one is in a buy area. So that one's in a buy area for a rally, and there's a possibility, my chart's wrong, and it actually just goes to new highs from here. So this is one that is showing a long opportunity. I think it's going to fail, but I can't guarantee that. I just know that it's in an area where it could reverse hard at any moment. You have erased all the divergence. This is a really good buy opportunity. And Nestle could be a generational buy, given the grand supercycle corrective nature. And you're at the wave four low. So this could be, where long-term investors would want to come in and buy it. Strong, investors that are more long-term in nature. I think, like I said, I think it's going to bounce and fail, but it doesn't have to. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, because it does seem it went deep enough. And the monthly's really reset. Well, I wonder why it was so bearish. I thought everyone liked Nestle. I didn't know it was doing bad. I didn't know it was doing. Maybe it's getting hit by GLP-1s too. But is this trade in the U.S.? Does this have an ADR symbol? Maybe somebody can post if it does. Because yeah, I think let's see here. Nestle is NSRGY. Let's see if that comes up. See if that chart looks like the same chart we're looking at here. Yeah, it's kind of the so this actually shows a little more downside, but again, I'm not an expert on ADRs and like how it relates, but it does look good. You see that those candles, those are really good candles there. So yeah, I hope it works out for you, and that trade works out. Maybe it's defensive, maybe it's like that the staples will be defensive. People will want to buy the staples. Yeah, it's Nestle ADR Series B. So let's see if there's a Series A. Yeah, I don't see it. Again, someone has it in the chart. I think it's this NSRGY is what we get. But anyway, good luck with that. Nestle's in the buy area, and we'll add that to our staples. Okay. Finishing scanning through comments. Let's take a look at how the markets trade in here. All right, let's see here. Massive rejection. Did not break that high. Let's look at extended hours. Even on extended hours, did not break that high. So bearish, that bigger pullback is in play. That's a big rejection there. People were not chasing that. How about the SPY? SPY did make a new high. Now SPY, obviously this shows like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up with the divergence. So this does look like it could peak here. The daily shows divergence. So again, this B wave really isn't valid. I don't think using my system. I mean, I guess you could still try to force it, but it looks like to me that this is starting to be negated with that 4 there. Dow has a little bit bearish divergence. How's the IWM? Big sell-off, but probably another buy the dip in the IWM as people are taking profit. All right, so looking through everything, just kind of scanning through. Yeah, I think I've covered everyone's comments. So good luck. I know it's hard to hear. The market's going to sell off and crash. I know no one believes it, but the markets do that all the time, and then they come back higher. Bitcoin had the greatest parabolic move, right? We all remember that at 17,000, 19,000. This, right? This one, right? This was a pretty beautiful parabola, right? A lot of people back then were like, "Oh, it's just gonna do that," right? And then even joke. But guess what happened? It ended. A bear market ensued. These charts are the U.S. indices right now. They're like the U.S. indices. This is coming. Whether you refuse to believe it, guys, this is coming. This part of the chart is coming. It's not possible to drive this price up much higher unless the money coming in increases as exponentially because of the nature of a parabolic advance. And there's just no more money coming into the market at that level. People are leaving the market. Smart money's leaving. Warren Buffett's leaving the market, guys, more than he's ever has. I mean, that's our fundamental investor, right? He's the king of fundamental investors, and he's leaving, right? Yeah, technical investors have already left, most of them, and then there's a few, people with euphoria, and then they'll hold through this whole thing, which is cool if they can do that. Most people can't, and by here they'll either need to sell because they have no jobs and they'll have to sell to take their money. They need the money, or they'll sell because they'll panic. Like one of my uncles did back in the dot-com bubble. He's a baby boomer that's very, very old right now, but he tells me the story back during the dot-com bust. He was like, "I'm just losing too much money. Get me the hell out," and he did. He sold here. And then he never got back in the market ever again. So my point is, that's what's going to happen to most people. They won't be able to hold. They think they can hold, but they can't. They just can't take the pain. They won't be able to take the pain because they're in with their whole stack, right? They have no more cash to deploy. They'll just hold, and they won't take the pain. But if you can hold, sure, you will come out the other end. You always do. Like Bitcoin. Bitcoin seemed impossible to go above 19,000, and it did. The market will seem impossible to make it back to the highs that it will leave, but it will. But you'll have a lot of pain you'll have to hold through, and you're delusional to think that isn't going to happen. I'm telling you guys, you're a super delusional if you're following people that are like, it's always another 4 and a 5. Oh, there's always one more high. Oh, you guys really need to question those people and who you're following, because they're going to lead their sheep to slaughter, because their followers aren't going to be as disciplined and are not going to diamond hand it. Most of their followers are going to lose everything because they don't have that kind of discipline and money management to hold through what is coming. The back end of this, they're not going to be able to. Now, they may personally, the ones saying there's always another 4 and 5, just keep holding, just hold, the markets go up. Hey, great, but 80% of your followers won't be able to do that, and they'll all lose their money. So good luck, guys, and we'll see what happens in the next couple days, and we'll go from there. All right.